Let's talk QB dominoes because they're about to start falling in the 2024 class. Not all position groups are as reactionary and intertwined as the quarterback position. Maybe it's because teams generally only take one or two, so there's not a lot of spots available. But when it comes to QB recruiting, when one guy makes a decision, it could impact several other QBs and programs. It's a complicated web of recruiting, but we are here to break it all down for you. The 2024 cycle started last week, but a lot of teams already have at least one quarterback committed. Just this month, or only 9 days in, there's already been 3 quarterback commitments. On the 6th, you had 4-star Anthony Maddox commit to Texas A&M. On the 3rd, Walker White, 4-star quarterback, commits to Auburn. And on the 1st, Cali quarterback Austin Mack commits to Washington. Let's bring on Chad Simmons, Director of Recruiting here at On3, to talk 2024 QB dominoes. Chad, as we look at the top 20 QBs here, I see that 4 out of the top 10 are committed and 9 out of the top 20 have found a school. What is it about this time of year that where one QB commitment can trigger a series of QB commitments?
Obviously, guys, like you said, Josh, quarterbacks want to lock their spot in and then also start recruiting that class. They want to, like you said, it's not like they're a receiver where schools take 4 or 5, offensive line 4 to 6, DBs, a group of 5, 6, 7. Quarterbacks are typically one spot per class. Every now and then schools will try to swoop in and try to sign 2 to fill that quarterback room with the transfer portal and what's going on there. But that they know spots are limited. They want to find the right fit, the right offense, also recruit those guys they want to play with on the next level. So right now and into the spring is a pretty hot time for quarterbacks to kind of make their mark on the recruiting trail.
All right, so let's start with the most recent domino to fall. Quarterback Walker White, he committed on Friday to Auburn, but the reason why it was a surprise was because most people thought he was going to end up at Clemson. How was Auburn able to land him and make this QB domino fall so early?
The way he explained it, Josh, he just had that feeling when he was on the Auburn campus. Obviously he praised Clemson, Garrett Riley, Dabo Swinney. They got the last visit from him before he made that decision, and most people thought he was leaning towards the Tigers of the ACC, not the Auburn Tigers in the SEC. But Hugh Freeze, Philip Montgomery, the new OC there at Auburn, did a great job laying out that plan. He likes the offensive scheme. Obviously, Hugh Freeze has a great track record developing quarterbacks, making them shine in his offense. And I think it came down to that gut feel where he felt best about, and that went to Auburn.
Yeah, really interesting because of what it does down the line, right? So Walker White, instead of committing to Clemson, goes to Auburn. Now you look at Clemson and you say, well, they still need their QB. You look at where the QB dominoes could fall. I go to Jaydn Davis out of North Carolina, the number 2 quarterback in the country. A lot of people throughout the fall thought Michigan was the team to beat, but now you got Clemson here who needs a QB. And Michigan has had a tumultuous offseason with the Harbaugh NFL rumors, a change at OC for Michigan. Is Clemson in line to maybe pull a Jaydn Davis where maybe he should have been going to Michigan?
Obviously Clemson made a move at OC, obviously bringing in Garrett Riley. There's not a real connection there, at least right now, going back to Riley's days at TCU with Jaydn Davis. So I think they're big relationship people, the Davis family, where they feel comfortable. Now, he's been camping at Clemson with Dabo since he was a small little child. He knows that campus well. He knows about Dabo Swinney, the culture there at Clemson. I think from what I've heard, this could be a complete reset, quarterback board reset for Clemson. Let Riley get in, identify who he thinks could fit into his scheme now. They've made that change, and Davis could be one of those guys, could be Jake Merklinger, could be other guys emerge with new Clemson offers. We know Clemson doesn't offer too many players at any position, much less quarterback. So I think the coming weeks will be pretty telling. Does Clemson get Davis on campus in March? What I'm hearing from the Clemson side of things is I've heard the QB board just the term reset. Let Riley get in. Obviously, he knew Walker White. He had White in camp before with TCU connections. They had that relationship already. I think he emerged pretty quickly as that number 1 guy because his familiarity with White and then vice versa. So obviously, when White chose Auburn, I've heard that term reset a little bit with around the quarterback position at Clemson.
All right, Clemson slowing things down. They're going to take a look at the entire quarterback landscape. While they're doing that, you guys do me a favor. Like this video and subscribe to the On3 YouTube page. We have all the latest recruiting intel and the biggest news in this 2024 cycle. We also do a ton of college football content. Subscribe to the On3 YouTube page. Chad, the biggest reaction at quarterback usually comes from the top. When the top number one guy makes his decision, you start seeing dominoes fall. So let's go back to the top and start at number one, Dylan Raiola. This has seemingly been a UGA USC battle this offseason. What are you hearing when it comes to Dylan Raiola?
Yeah, I mean, Raiola had the impact last year when he committed to Ohio State. We were just talking about Jaydn Davis. The buzz was around Ohio State with Jaydn Davis.
Right.
All of a sudden, Raiola visits, commits, and that domino effect has on Jaydn Davis taking a step back, going to look at Michigan, Penn State, Clemson, other schools. So it's happening all the time. So obviously, when Raiola decommitted, it opened up other doors for Ohio State guys to go out there and target quarterbacks. So yes, a lot rests on what Dylan Raiola does. And right now, I think three schools have the momentum, and that's USC, Georgia, and Nebraska. Everybody knows he's connected to Nebraska. Dad played there. Uncle coaches there now. He'll be at Nebraska a little bit over a month from now. He'll be at Georgia in about a month from now. He was at USC late in January, had a great trip to LA, spent a lot of time with Lincoln Riley. Him and his family enjoyed their time there around the Coliseum. And I think it's those three schools right now. And I'd be a little bit surprised if he doesn't make a decision at least sometime by early summer, I would say. For right now, it's Dylan Raiola's timeline.
That'd be a big decision. And if he were to pick UGA, just hypothetically, what do you think that means for current four-star quarterback commitment Ryan Puglisi?
Based on what I've been told, absolutely nothing. Puglisi loves Georgia. He wants to compete at Georgia, whether it's with Raiola. Georgia's made it pretty clear to him. They're looking to sign two quarterbacks in this class. I mean, Carson Beck's a senior. They have obviously guys behind him and Brock Vandegrift and Gunnar Stockton, but that room's getting a little bit light once Carson plays this year and moves on to the NFL or whatnot. That they need two bodies in this cycle in that room. And they've made it pretty clear. And the feedback that I've gotten from Puglisi is I'm going to Georgia, whether it's Raiola, whether it's DJ Shockley coming back to Georgia, whoever the quarterback's going to be there, he's going to go compete. He likes Georgia. He likes the system. He likes the program. So based on the domino effect with Raiola, whether or not he goes to Georgia, I don't think, based on what I'm hearing right now, that impacts Puglisi.
Yeah, you see how all this is intertwined. So let's stay on Jake Merklinger. He's a hot name right now. He's the number 8 ranked quarterback overall. He's been linked to Tennessee, Clemson, Michigan State, Florida, several teams. But what does this new Georgia offer mean to his recruitment? Because it came this week.
Yeah, just puts him in the mix. Obviously, he's an in-state kid. Like I said, his mom went to school there. He's probably visited Georgia as much or more just from a fan standpoint and recruit too than anywhere else. I mean, obviously, I like North Carolina's spot there too. He was there in January, going back the first weekend in March to Chapel Hill for the Duke basketball game. Obviously, they have a pretty good track record right now with quarterbacks, with what's going on with Drake May, Sam Howell before that. So they're very intriguing. Then Michigan State and Tennessee, I've been there in this mix for a long time. He has great relationships there. I think it's still to be determined just where he's at, not just for Clemson, but for now new OC Garrett Riley. How does he see that connection? Is he a potential fit there for him in that scheme? So I still think, when talking to all these quarterbacks, I think it's pretty early still for Merck. That's what he goes by. And he's a guy that's still exploring his options, talking to a lot of different schools. He's focused on basketball primarily right now. I think once things get back in the spring, you see him take some trips. I think that'll tell a lot about where his head's at and who he's really looking at in the coming months.
All right. My question is, what's USC going to do at quarterback? You got Lincoln Riley sitting there just laying in wait. He's produced such quarterbacks as Caleb Williams, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray. His resume is extensive when it comes to developing quarterbacks, and there's no shortage of guys that want to play for him. So what do you think USC is going to do at the quarterback position in 2024?
Well, based on what I'm hearing, their attention is going to that number one guy, 5-star plus quarterback, Dylan Raiola. Lincoln hasn't ever had to recruit a long list of quarterbacks. Top quarterbacks want to play for him. They want to be developed by him. They want to play in his offensive system to shine and win Heismans and get drafted. I mean, That's what quarterbacks want to do. I mean, if there's any position that he can recruit extremely well, it's quarterbacks, and I think right now, he took some time and went in with DJ Lagway, and then they were definitely in the mix there with Florida and Texas A&M and some other programs. But since Raiola's opened things back up, and even before he opened back up, there was some dialogue with Lincoln Riley. They got him back on campus. And based on what I'm hearing, Raiola is that guy for Riley right now. Again, could things shift? If they start to maybe feel he's leaning to other places, they may extend to other offers or get in the mix to other guys that are already committed somewhere else or so on. But right now, Raiola is that guy for USC.
What about the in-state quarterback, Elijah Brown, ranked number 6 overall? Is he an option for USC right now?
There hasn't been a lot of, at least back and forth conversation, communication between Elijah Brown, the great quarterback at Modern Day, right there in Santa Ana, California, and USC. Again, obviously it's early still. I think they could come back on him. He does have a USC offer. He was offered early before even Lincoln Riley got that job in LA. But the school I'm hearing the most buzz around with Elijah is actually another in-state school, the Stanford Cardinal program. So we'll keep an eye and see if anything happens in the coming months with Elijah in USC. But I think right now SC is kind of putting at least 99% of their effort into Dylan Raiola.
All right. And then they were also heavily involved with DJ Lagway, the 4-star quarterback out of Texas, prior to his commitment to the Gators. It was a bit of a surprise, actually, when Lagway chose the Gators over USC and some other schools. Do you think there's any scenario where we see USC double back on DJ Lagway?
I mean, there's always that scenario out there, Josh, for sure. I mean, you can't rule anything out anymore in recruiting, and especially with quarterbacks. And, but based on everything I'm hearing, Lagway still feels good about Florida. I mean, you see him on social media recruiting daily players to join him at the Swamp. You see the Gator emoji all the time from Lagway. And based on checking up on him in recent days, all signs point to him feeling good still at this point about Florida.
All right. There's still a lot of dominoes, a lot of quarterbacks still standing. Like you said, it doesn't seem like guys are in a rush right now in early February. But when do you think that we're going to start seeing some of these major decisions being made?
Yeah, I think the coming months, Josh, I think obviously things open back up in March. You'll see some guys starting to get out again and take some unofficials. I think obviously starting in April, mid-April, they can start taking OVs. Some guys are talking about getting that done early in the process, spring games. I think you'll see these guys start to fall off this board at quarterback position. I would say, April, May. I'm not ruling out even something in March to happen with certain guys, but I think more April, May, early summer, I think you'll really start to see that domino effect going with numerous guys at this position coming off the board.
Do you think if Dylan Raiola were to make like an early spring decision that we could see maybe an even earlier run on the quarterbacks? Do you think it's something like a linchpin just waiting to be pulled and then we could tumble on down with the dominoes?
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. I mean, obviously, he's kind of focused on a certain group of schools. So I do think if he was to say commit, just say commit to Nebraska. Where does USC go? Do they offer new guys? Do they try to come back in on a guy like Elijah Brown? Do they try to maybe go back and flip Lagway from Florida? Do new guys emerge, in this 24 cycle for Lincoln Riley? Does Georgia offer 3 or 4 more quarterbacks if Raiola commits, next month in March to Nebraska or even USC? So I definitely think you'll see a reaction on the Nebraska side. If Raiola does not pick Nebraska, they're basically waiting. They're going to wait for him. They pretty much told him, and other quarterbacks know this too, we're not going to let you commit or even target you until Raiola makes his decision. So I think you'll definitely see, if he doesn't pick Nebraska, some domino effect there in Lincoln as well.
All right. This was a great time to sit here and reset the quarterback board for 2024. I'm sure it's a topic that we're going to continue to hit on throughout the offseason. Chad, thanks. Thank you for watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button for me. And remember to check out all the videos on the On3 YouTube page.